I just had a great conversation with a customer. His name was Kain, and the amount of the fare was $6.66. That was my cut after Uber took theirs, and I had to discuss with him the numerology because it showed me that, and he's like, "Oh man, Cain, brother of Abel, mark of the beast," and yeah, he was up to it. He knew all the biblical references and stuff. So we had a great conversation about numerology and symbology. He appeared to be a Hispanic American, and he was. It was kind of interesting to talk to him because we hit a bunch of topics real quick, and one of the things we talked about was the elections and the thought of election integrity. And he said the election was stolen, and I, very bluntly, and I thought that was very bold of him because I try to be a little more judicious in my statements and said, like, okay, there's, for the past 8 years, there's been a lot of discussion about election integrity on both sides of the aisle. The whole movie Blockchain was made about the questioning elections, Debo voting machine from a Democrat perspective, and then of course the whole Trump presidency was fraught with election questioning and election denial. And then after 2020, and that's when he's like, that was stolen. I was like, okay. And, we talked about that, about how basically instead of questioning the election, people were told you're not allowed to question the election, and that it's undemocratic to question the election. And that's one of those things, even Republicans like Trey Gowdy, he was one of the biggest guys going, you can't question democracy. That's the end of democracy. If you question it, that's the end of democracy. No, that's how democracy works, right? This is not a little relationship with little teenage kids where you go, trust is all that matters. Okay, no, it's not. So let's say, you got to play both sides here. You got to play and think about it from both sides of the aisle. So, let's say Trump said that. Let's say Trump said, you're not allowed to question democracy. That's how democracy ends. You have to stop questioning it. Well, I think people would realize real quickly, like, oh my gosh, that sounds like something a dictator would say. You shouldn't say that. And I don't know why we're okay with it now. Because if it's not questioned, we don't know that it's not legitimate. So, like, if somebody does steal an election and the election is not questioned, they could steal it again. Simple as that. If like, let's say all the Diebold voting machines weren't looked into at all, well then, and there's no software updates or whatever, and they find out that somebody did steal an election with a Diebold voting machine, they could say, oh well, like was accused in Georgia, they could steal it again. And from the other side, if a fake ballot campaign was used, as is claimed by the other side of the aisle, who's to say they can't do that again and then in the next election? So that's why democracy needs to be questioned. This is not a relationship. So imagine there being a relationship counselor who's saying, okay, you two aren't allowed to ask if the other one's cheating, right? Well, what if one of them is cheating? And every time the other one's like, well, I think they're cheating, and the guy folds his arms and says, you're not allowed to ask about that, and the counselor says, well, you talked about this, the relationship must be based on trust, you're not allowed to ask. Well, that philanderer knows that he can get away with cheating because she's not allowed to ask. And that's where we are when we can't trust democracy. That's when we can't trust democracy because it's not audited. That's when you lose faith in it. Not you can't trust democracy because it's questioned. You can't trust democracy because it's not questioned. So there you go. That's my rant on that. I hope you have a great day, and thank you for being an awesome customer, Kain.